Now, today, what we're going to be talking about is something which I've seen become very, very common. Now, I'm here live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and also on Instagram over here. And the thing we're going through is thyroid function. Now, unfortunately, it seems to be so common that people have problems with their thyroid, with overactive, with underactive, with hyperthyroid function. Now, what this actually is, if people don't know, it's the gland which is regulated, taking a lot of science out, the gland which is regulating your metabolism. It's a thing that's going to allow you to feel good. It's going to allow you to have your energy and allow you to be able to get everything else going on. Now, what happens with your thyroid is we get signals from something in your brain called your hypothalamus, which sends a signal to your pituitary, which sends a signal to your thyroid. It's called the HPT axis. It says it needs this to be done, that to be done, that to be done, and do it. We have like HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, the gonads. Like there's loads of different axes within the body that we have to have the right signaling. Now, unfortunately, this gets screwed up. It gets jumbled up a lot of the time with Chinese whispers. Like, as you can imagine, like the messages get mixed. Now, one of the problems I see a lot of the times is that in the Western medicine, and with Western medicine, with the world that we live in, is that the doctors usually treat it as a problem with your thyroid, with the actual gland. Now, working in this industry since 2006, I've not actually seen people with thyroid function. I've seen one person that I've worked with that had a problem with her thyroid gland because she'd had thyroid cancer. And I know my mentor has had someone else that has had a problem with that. And we've both discussed this and said that 99% of the time, and again, this is not full-on medical advice, so please consult with your medical practitioner or with your doctor if you're thinking of actually going for any of the things in this video. But 99% of the time, the problems we have with our thyroid function is not because of your thyroid gland. And that is something we really, really need to take into account. Usually, the actual problems we're seeing with our thyroid function is because of our adrenals and because of the signals. We're shaking all over the show with Instagram here. I apologize. My desk is obviously not as stable as it once was. I need to sort something out with my desk. But you're going to have problems with your health elsewhere if we're not getting the right signals going on between the hypothalamus to the pituitary. And some of the things that are going to actually tell us what is going on is if you're having swings with blood sugar levels, like that could be causing problems with your hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid axis, with your thyroid signaling. There's infections in your gut, things like undiagnosed food intolerances, if you've had viruses or high levels of viral load, even things such as autoimmune conditions, and even environmental toxins. Now, I said before that here where I live in Norfolk, it's in East Anglia, is one of the most toxic air qualities in the whole of the UK. Now, we're renowned for having high farming levels. So, like, we've got a lot of countryside. We're the farmer boys, and we get kind of the piss taken out of us for that. But you would expect the countryside to actually be very clean air because it's just filled with fields. But as you can imagine, the farmers need to put pesticides on their crops to get their full yield, that there's going to be some problems with air quality. And it's actually one of the worst air qualities in the whole of the UK. So growing up, there was a lot of toxic load on my system that I am now dealing with or have been dealing with over the past decade. And the body sees these things going on, as we've said about with intolerances, with infection or problems with your gut, with viruses, with environmental toxins. And it's like this alarm bell going off that it then sends signals to your adrenals to pump out adrenal hormones, usually cortisol. Now, no doubt you've heard of the stress hormone being cortisol. And what happens there is cortisol then triggers the body to release extra glucose into the bloodstream. That added glucose is there to provide the body with energy for those extra stresses. And that is a problem for us because glucose within the blood is a toxic substance. And as a result, that we then have to release more insulin from the pancreas, and then we get overload of insulin being released and can lead to something called insulin resistance, or we then pull too much glucose in. We get a lot of problems going on there. Now, when we have problems with our thyroid gland, or signaling, sorry, to the thyroid gland, and usually down to adrenal function, that we usually see other symptoms as well. So most of the time, as I've said, the low thyroid function is usually down to the adrenals and not the actual thyroid gland. So if you're seeing other symptoms such as fatigue or chronic fatigue, if you're getting symptoms of headaches, severe headaches, migraines, brain fog on there, you're constantly getting sick, or you have random allergic outbreaks, or you suddenly get a reaction to food, you just seem as a slow starter in the morning. You usually feel full too quickly, or you feel bloated, or you crave sweets, you crave caffeine, your moods go up and down. Or even then, like, you get very irritable, very hangry if you miss a meal. Eating gives you extra energy. Now, surprisingly, like, funnily enough, like, I see people say that, oh, I'm just so tired, I need to eat. Now, food, with good blood glucose management, food does give you energy in the form of kilocalories, kcal, whatever we want to call it. It is an energy, and we have to burn that. But food should not make you feel different. You shouldn't suddenly eat food and then feel energized, or eat food and then feel really low. We have to make sure that food, our energy should stay good throughout the day and start tapering off when we're ready to go to bed. So if food is giving you that extra energy, that is another sign that your adrenals are potentially under extra stress. Things like when we have problems with our sleep. Now, I'll go into another live on Wednesday talking about sleep. And if you do wake up during the night, if you can't get to sleep, if you suffer from sleep apnea or anything like that, but that's another sign. Another one is that you feel dizzy if you stand up too quick. Now, I remember competing in my first bodybuilding show. And towards the end, when I was having such little food and I was very low on body fat, this is back in 2008, that when I stood up, I almost felt like I was going to pass out. Now, that was not a good sign. That was not healthy. That was a symptom of my body showing me something was not going on. Things like if you have problems with asthma, or you get varicose veins popping up, these are things that something is going on. So usually if you have thyroid problems and then you go through these other symptoms, it's a sign that it's usually your adrenals rather than your thyroid that is having the problems with the function there. So it's definitely something that I would look deeper into. Now, the adrenal stress that we go through, obviously we have this toxic stress from our environment, from different chemicals. If you are having makeup, like, it's becoming more and more normalized for guys to have makeup. So makeup is becoming a massive thing, that there's more chemicals being put onto our skin, and that gets absorbed. That our skin is the biggest organ within the body, and that gets absorbed within seconds into our bloodstream. So I would highly look at, like, what are you putting onto your skin, especially if you're in a stressed state, because this all has a toxic load on the body. What we're breathing in, what we're eating, what we're smelling, what we're putting on our skin, and then also the things we're consuming on TV as well can have a major impact, because that then tells us where our mental state actually is. Now, as we said before, the adrenals are going to impact your thyroid function by weakening the signals between your hypothalamus to your pituitary to your thyroid gland. So things get messed up. Now, it also, the adrenals will also increase the thyroid binding protein, meaning that your your thyroid hormones won't actually get into the cells to do their jobs. So even if we have this high level of thyroid hormone, the actual adrenals are going to stop that being able to get into the cell to do its job. It will also stop. So we have T4 needs to be converted into T3, and it will stop this happening. If we are going through too much stress, then it will stop this conversion of T4 to get converted into active T3 for it to do its job. Now, we don't want that to be the case, because that is then going to show up that on blood tests that we have low T3 or low thyroid function, then we're going to go to the doctor, typical that a plane wants to come across. Then we're going to go to a doctor and they're going to give us drugs for this. That is then going to mean that we're then basically getting drugged up, and then we're getting exogenous drugs, which they're kind of not showing up as the right levels. So we don't need them, but we're having them. What is that actually doing to our body as well? Is that then going to stop the natural production potentially? So we have to look at these things. Like if it is not your thyroid that is the problem, having thyroid drugs is potentially going to do you more harm than good. And we have to look at that stuff. Another thing is that when we have high levels of adrenal load, of stress on our adrenals, that it can slow and even stop our detoxification pathways, which actually that allows the used thyroid hormones to exit the body through detoxifying. Now, if we can't do that, it leads to a high level of thyroid hormone within the body. If that happens, we then potentially get the body saying, hey, I'm going to resist this thyroid hormone, and we lead to a thing called thyroid resistance, thyroid hormone resistance. Now, again, this is taking a lot of science out of it. If you want to know more about it, drop me a message and we can chat further. But I just want to get you knowing what the basic points are, that we need to look deeper than the thyroid hormone when it comes to thyroid problems. It can allow your cells to lose the sensitivity to the thyroid hormones, including those ones that you get prescribed, and can also weaken the stress levels, can weaken your immune system. I'm pretty sure you guys would know about that, but it can weaken the actual immune barriers of your digestive system, your lungs, and even your brain. So that's going to promote immune dysregulation. So you'll probably notice more headaches, more brain fog, more problems with moods going up and down, and it's something that we really want to address. Now, how can we actually sort this? Well, it's all well and good knowing there's a problem. There are 4 things which I see as non-negotiables when it comes to improving your stress levels, improving your adrenal function and everything like that. And this is things which you will know I've spoken about this before, but 4 things we really have to look at. The first one being is if you are anemic, if that's come up on blood tests, then oxygen cannot get into the cells to allow your cells to have the right levels of support. So we have to look at what are the reasons for that. Then the big one is unstable blood sugar levels. So if it's too high or too low, it is going to be a significant stressor on adrenal health. Now, I've done so much content on blood glucose levels. So if you do want more information on that, drop me a message. I can point you to the videos on YouTube, or I can send you some information, or we can just jump on a call and chat through that. But with blood sugar levels, what I do need to note here, because it came up in a conversation with a client earlier, is that I've been told many times that I've been to my doctor and my blood sugar levels are fine. Now, when I work with a client, we test the blood sugar levels a lot. So we will test fasted blood sugar levels for 5 days in a row just to see where they are. Because that one test that you have with your doctor is a snapshot. It's a snapshot right there and then of what is going on there and then. And that could be impacted by it was hot the night before, so you didn't have as good a quality sleep, or the baby was crying, or you went out the night before, all these different things going on. The day before was more stressed than normal. You did a harder workout. You didn't eat as normal. Like that one snapshot is honestly, it's pretty much pointless. It's going to see something what's going on, but it's pretty much pointless. We have to look deeper into what is actually going on within the body in order to see, is it high constantly? Is it low? What is going on? So we have to look deeper into it. We also test around meals because I want to see if someone is reactive hypoglycemic. Are they eating food and then more sugar is being pulled into the cells than we need to? Their glucose levels are going up and down. Are they eating food and it's just not going down at all? It's just constantly going up and up. These are things we have to look into. So testing blood sugar is super, super important. Also, your gut function. I will look at a history of a client, what has been going on in their body? How is their gut functioning? What infections have they had? What have been their chronic stresses over their life? What has been the cause of inflammation? What has been there? throughout since they were young to overtax the adrenals and lower their function. The same with thyroid function, because too many people look at health as a snapshot of here and now. But health is not where we are right now. It is every single thing we have been through getting to this point that decides and dictates our health. And we have to address that. I've had people that have had uncured infections from 10, 15 years ago that we have to work with now to heal them, because they're getting frustrated with their health not being where they are because they haven't been healed. And we have to actively heal these infections. And then things like undiagnosed food intolerances and allergies. And I will do some talk on food intolerances, because sometimes food intolerances don't show, because our immune system is pretty clever in a way. It hides what is actually going on until we take this food out. And then we put this food in, you're like, oh, I wasn't reactive to bread before or to wheat before, but now I am. If I didn't take it out, that's a good thing, because that was actually doing a lot of harm to your immune system until you took it out. Now it's a chance for you to heal your immune system and move forward with that. So we have to look at any potential undiagnosed food intolerances. And food intolerances don't just show up as bloat or anything. They can show up as many, many different things. And things just quickly to cut out that we want to look deeper into are things like avoid stimulants, avoid your caffeine. And that includes decaf, purely because decaf is like 50, 60% caffeine anyway. So it's just lowered. And if you are very, very stressed out, then we want to avoid all the stimulants, avoid the adrenal stimulants, avoid concentrated sugars, things like nicotine, alcohol, foods that you are allergic to. Now, with allergic foods, we release histamine in the body, and histamine is a stimulant. So we have to avoid these. Things like highly processed fats, they will inhibit your adrenal hormone synthesis. Things like artificial sweeteners, high levels of training, which is a big thing, because when I work with clients, one of the things I say is that most people, when they come to me, they've tried so many things to lose weight, to be healthy. What is the training plan we're going to do, Ollie? Well, we will get you to the training in the future, but most people, when they come to me, are overtraining before they even get into a gym. So we have to address the overload of stress. What people want to push hard in the gym, that is not what we do. We build the right training for where you are currently at. And also low quality sleep. That is one of the big things. If you are not sleeping through the night, if you are waking up, if you have poor sleep hygiene, sleep apnea, anything like this, like, we have to address the reasons why, because it'll be very, very hard to improve your adrenal function without addressing these things. So we want to really be aware of what is going on and what we need to do in order to improve this function. So have a look at those things. If you are struggling with your thyroid function, now, as I say, I'm not a doctor. I'm licensed as a professional here with functional medicine and a nutritional therapist. I'm not a doctor. So if you're on medication, consult your doctor, like, before you stop any medication or anything like that. If you want more information, or you want to talk further about working with me on a one-to-one basis, simply drop me a message and we can just get on a call and have a chat through this. Every single person is an individual. So I'm not going to say, here's this protocol for your thyroid function to improve this, because one protocol for one person may actually harm the other person. We have to look at it on an individual basis. Drop me a message and we can chat further about improving your health and getting you to feel absolutely awesome straight away. I say straight away, within a matter of a few weeks. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.